Well, we talk a lot about giving more power to our councils, and here's a new twist to the story. Local authorities in the East Midlands are getting into the electricity market. Nottingham City Council's ruling Labour group is looking to set up its own energy company in the city. Derbyshire is building solar farms to generate energy and cash for the council. Jane Dodge has been taking a look at the council's power grab.
Do you feel like your hard-earned cash is being burnt up by the price of energy? Well, burning rubbish is just one way councils in the East Midlands are trying to bring those energy bills down.
If you live in the Nottingham area, this is where the rubbish that you put in your green bins comes to. 700 tonnes arrives here every day. That adds up to 170,000 tonnes every year.
The rubbish, categorised as unrecyclable, is burnt at the Eastcroft incinerator in Nottingham. That process produces steam, which is then sold to the City Council and used to heat more than 4,500 homes.
It is the largest district heating scheme in the country, so energy from waste is going round 4,500 houses, about 150 businesses. That's really important as being part of the ability to make the city less dependent on energy sources from everywhere else.
Eastcroft incinerator has been part of the Nottingham skyline for years, but there's been fierce opposition to building one in Sinfin in Derby because of concerns about the potential health risks. Nottingham City Council says carbon emissions at Eastcroft are tightly controlled, but not everyone's convinced.
Well, this isn't low carbon. This pumps out 150,000 tonnes or more of carbon dioxide every year. That's about 3 times as much as we get from the normal power stations on the grid. This is high carbon, not low carbon.
This field in Derbyshire could soon be the site of a different type of energy. It won't be the first time the land has been used to help keep us warm. It used to be the site of Swanwick Colliery. Men dug for coal here as far back as the 14th century.
In less than a year's time, this field could be completely covered in solar panels, 6,000 of them. It's one of 6 possible sites for solar farms in Derbyshire. Solar panel farms aren't always popular with the neighbours, but at the joinery opposite the Swanwick Colliery site, there's a cautious welcome.
It's free, so just make the most of it. It's not costing anything, is it? Once it's all set up, you see all the houses now with panels on the roof, so I don't see any problem in it.
In reality, little in life is free. The solar panel farms in Derbyshire are expected to cost £10 million.
These are exciting times for us. It's not only the money that we recoup, it's the principle of it, and it's our commitment to a green renewable energy. So there are several budgets that we can perhaps look at for funding. The funding isn't the thing. It's getting the Derbyshire communities who live by where the sites are going to be up and excited as we are at having these sites and bringing money into the county council.
Nottingham City Council has gone one step further in an attempt to bring down energy bills. It's setting up its own energy company in direct competition with the Big Six currently dominating the market.
The City Council is going to have its own energy company, Robin Hood Energy, that's going to be launched later in the year. That's going to provide, we think, a better customer service. Because we're not in it for the profit, we're in it for the service. We think we'll be able to save people huge amounts of money on their bills.
The search for alternative sources of energy has its critics. Councils will have to tread a fine line as they move into the energy market.
So, Margaret, what do you make of this with councils trying to get into the energy market?
I think it's a really interesting idea. It's hard to see a downside at the moment, actually, particularly since I gather from Derbyshire that where they're planning to put the solar panels is land that's not really used, not suitable for agriculture, and so it's making use of what is otherwise unproductive land.
But how can these cash-strapped Labour councils afford to do this?
Invest to save. These are programmes we tried to introduce when we were in government. And that's one of the things that they are obviously trying to do.
Well, Nottingham City Council had say it's doing it because it wants to provide affordable energy to residents in the city, and the cost of energy has soared under your government.
Well, actually, we're starting to see bills coming down again now, but I think Margaret's absolutely right. This is an interesting idea. What will be interesting is to see how it pans out, because I understand that both are being consulted on. We'll see what local residents think about the idea. And in respect of the Nottingham proposals, I think anything that that helps bring down energy costs, increases competition, is certainly worth looking at. But I understand that it's a £1 million upfront investment in that. We'll see how that works, because I think what a lot of residents will be looking for are their local councils to make sure they focus on basic services, clean, safe streets, looking after people with social services, and getting value for money. Now, if they can do this and deliver real value for money, I think it's very interesting.
Energy will certainly interest them,
but
won't
it'll be interesting to see whether they can make the numbers stack up on this.
I'm sure. But Which has calculated that the average family was £145 a year worse off last year because of price increases.
Yeah, and
you know, if prices are coming down,
if we'd gone for
families are finding that hard, aren't they?
If we'd gone for the freeze proposed by Ed Miliband, people would have been £100 worse off now, because those prices are changing. But I think what we're looking at here are councils and local authorities trying to find innovative and different ways to tackle that issue. It remains to be seen whether they work, and it remains to be seen whether the business model works. But I certainly think it's interesting and worth having a look at them.
I know that's the Conservative Party line, but it's just so silly. I mean, we are not so stupid.
Your policy was for a price freeze.
Our policy was and is for a price freeze, but obviously that's if prices are going up. There's no way you'd freeze a price that otherwise would be going down. And as for the energy companies saying, but that's the case, this is only the latest excuse that they've found for not cutting prices when their costs are going down.
But we also have to remember that it was in 2010 we were left with the big six. There'd been a much more competitive and diverse market back in 1997. And under those 13 years, we saw the market consolidate, and we were left with the big six.
Okay, well, we'll have to leave it there.